Welcome to the Real Estate 401k Show. Here are your hosts, Ryan Gerdes, Mike Weinstein, and Justin Frederick, helping you build a legacy of wealth through real estate. Powered by the Real Estate 401k Group at West USA and the Frederick Team with Fairway Mortgage and MLS number 625918.
Welcome back to the Real Estate 401k Show. I'm your host, Mike Weinstein, alongside Justin Frederick and Ryan Gerdes. I'm going to turn on the little timer thing here so we don't go too long here, if that's okay with you guys.
You have our permission.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, one of the things that, working with investors and with our stated mission to help our clients build wealth through real estate is trying to remove as much emotion as you can from the home buying purchase. And one of the things and one of the exercises that I like to do with my clients is just understanding that if we're going to buy property A here, one day we need to sell this thing. And so what you're buying now is going to help you sell it. And so I came across this listing down in Tucson. We could probably start with that. That's probably half the problem right there, right? It's Tucson.
I don't know whether or not to feel bad for them or just continuing to smite them.
Yeah, exactly. So here is a truly a one-of-a-kind house in Tucson. List price $432,500, built in the 60s. But here's the kicker. The entire house is basically made from glass bottles and rock. The inspiration from the guy who built it, who is no longer alive, was he just really liked the Mayan, the Aztec flair from down in South America and wanted to build a house. And only in Tucson could you get away with this.
I call that bullshit because you know what happened? He and his buddies were so pissed that they lived in Tucson, they just started drinking. And then they were like, look at all these beer bottles we got left over here. You know what? I got an idea. We're going to build a house out of all these here beer bottles that we're spending.
We're going to drink enough to build a house.
Yeah.
And now it's time for an extension. So, boys, we need to drink more beer. I don't know. The issue that I have with this particular house is there's obviously a very, very small, if any, market for it. You could get caught up in that it's one of a kind. Now I live in a house, and I can't even imagine like how it works during the summertime there. Yeah. I can only imagine that the bottles are just magnifying the heat.
They have to, but how much rock is around it? We haven't seen a picture of it, but I'd really like to see what it actually looks like. I mean,
smushed in a bunch of mortar, and
who knows? But they wanted to pretty much, yeah. They wanted to show the color of the glass, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the glass is sticking out. So it's got to magnify the heat. It's got to.
Well, if you are interested in this home, we would love to help you buy it. We're not going to recommend you buying it, but we'll help you buy it. All you got to do is text the word bottle. How about bottle? To 623-AZ-RECON. That's 623-AZ-RECON. You can just text the word bottle. But, Ryan, going through the process now of, obviously, especially for resale value investment purposes, this is not necessarily a house that I would want in my real estate portfolio unless there was some sort of tourism aspect to it, unless I could generate some sort of income. But what are the things that we need to consider when we're buying a house, understanding that one day this house needs to get put back on the market?
Well, this really boils
And do you like this house? I mean, you're shaking your head like you want to, and I'm not going partners with you on this one.
No,
you know.
That's fine.
I'm telling you right now.
I would want to see it, but as we all know in sales 101, you never sell the steak, you got to sell the sizzle, right? And so if there was an element of it that really either inspired people or there was some type of architectural or artistic, value to it where people are like, oh, that's a work of art and it's only going to gain value from that approach, then I'll look at anything, right? Because to me, it all boils down to the numbers. So if I were to get over there and there's this big buzz about it, then, I mean, who's to say, right? Because, I mean, I wouldn't live there, but if somebody said, that's really a work of art, and they wanted to pay me for it, then who am I to tell them no, right? But yeah, from a foundational standpoint, like I gotta sit here and wonder, like, what if a glass breaks?
Right. How are you going to replace that?
Yeah. How do you replace them? And how do you get permits for any of that work that you want to get done to it?
There can't have been permits on this.
For sure. You said it was built in the 60s, right?
Yeah, it was built. Yeah, it was built in the '60s by a Theodore and I guess Miletus Bryson.
Well, we weren't even in a state for that long before that place was built. And so, like, I gotta say,
you're not wrong.
I know. And so the moral of the story is there couldn't have been a whole. The Register of Contractors probably didn't have a huge presence in that time. There it would be my guess, and so somebody said, well, I can get away with it, and let's go ahead and do it, and gosh, man, I'm at a loss for where to find value in it, because if it's being listed for $400 and change,
yeah, 432.5.
I gotta imagine that they're just pulling a number out of thin air. I mean, the best news about it is it's on a 110,000 square foot lot. Mm-hmm. So we're dealing with what, 2.5 acres?
Yeah,
something
you
like
could
that?
Subdivide that and build another glass house.
Yeah, or bulldoze it, and
it's like a Billy Joel song. Billy Joel album, right? What about the lending side? So what goes through your mind when we submit a loan and
it's glass bottles
and glass bottles? Because I want to just send this to, just for shits and giggles, I want to send it to our appraiser, and I want to send it to our insurance guy saying, "Hey, we're buying this."
What
and
does this cost?
See what they say.
Yeah, I'd like to know what that
$5,000 appraisal.
So I was curious too when we read the article. I actually text my underwriter, and she's like, "I'd like to see some comparable." Kelly, I don't think there's any comparables.
There's no comparables to this.
And what goes through my head is, I just don't see this being financeable through any type of loan product that we carry in quality mortgages. You could probably find some sort of private money on this.
I was about to say, I don't think certain lending's gonna, our hard money outfit's gonna hook us up on this one.
Right. No, they're gonna laugh us out of there and pull our line of credit.
Yeah,
you guys are dumbasses, and we don't ever want to do business with you again.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it's cool. It's on 2.5 acres, and like Ryan said, what if there is some sort of value? Maybe short-term rental value in it. Do you want to come stay in a rock glass house for a couple of days? Maybe
there's an Airbnb market for it.
I'm sure it would be popular to look at on the app. I don't know if people would book it, but hey, honey, look at this.
Oh, I think somebody would book it. It's just a matter of whether you would get enough bookings. I mean, there's enough eclectic short-term rentals out there that people like to book. People like to stay just in the weird,
just to check it out too.
Check things out. But going back to we're taking a look at a house and understanding that one day this house needs to be put on the market, and I think that is part of the decision-making process. You have to think long-term. And case in point, the very first home I ever bought, the late, great Mark Arns, which was our broker and our mentor at the time. And I had this option. It was a 2-story, remember Trend Homes?
Yeah.
It was a 2-story Trend home on the 13th fairway of the Western Skies Golf Course in Gilbert. And so the downstairs, there's no bedrooms, but there was a big closet. And all the bedrooms and bathrooms are upstairs. But I had the option, I remember, for like $10,000 to go ahead and upgrade the downstairs closet and turn it into a third half bath. And he explained to me, he said, in our market, and this was decades ago, he says, you're always assuming that when you go to sell this house, you're probably selling it to, or you could possibly selling it to a single mom, couple kids, and that third bathroom, yes, it's going to cost you $10,000 today, but it's going to add tremendous value to the home and make it a lot more appealing and a lot easier to sell on the secondary market.
Well, for sure, but I think we're talking apples and oranges between that one, and because that's a matter of function versus this house made of glass.
Oh, I've moved on from the bottle house.
Oh, well.
When
You're talking about
when
resale
we're working
now.
with buyers, what are the things that we need to consider
Oh.
when we're taking a look that one day we're going to put this house on the market? What are the things you should stay away from? What are the things that you should invest the money in? What are the things that you should be looking at?
Well, it's obviously the things that are going to be more difficult to put into place after the fact, and so when we're talking about that bathroom there, it's not just, hey, there's $3,000 worth of bathroom fixtures here. There's plumbing and electrical and drain lines that need to be installed from the get-go, from the ground up, in order to make that, in order to really make sure that the work is done right. And because original work is always going to usually outlive and outlast remodel work, unless you're just doing a full gut job, right? And so, case in point, just the other day we were looking at some properties, and it was $4,000 more to add an extra full bath to one of the bedrooms to make it a full ensuite. And I'm talking to our buyers, and I'm like, hey, look, this $4,000 is going to triple the value of the home the day that you close on it, because $4,000 for a full bathroom is nothing, right? I mean, it's very, very minuscule compared to what the returns are on it. And so, yeah, absolutely, we had to follow through on that, because they know that they're going to have more kids, and upstairs there's only one bathroom and 3 bedrooms, and I'm like, well, instead of having the one kid, when you down the road when you have 3, you're going to wish you're going to want that extra bathroom. And when we're dealing with a more luxury line of home, you have to have those extra bathrooms, right? And so even going back to this glass bottle house, there's a local agent here in town, and
It's wall-to-wall urinals. There's bottles everywhere.
she does remarkably well with the unique and different. And that's all that she focuses on, because her mind just doesn't think in the inside of the box ever. And so people that are really wanting the weird and eclectic and the unique stuff, they go talk to her, because she has an eye for those kinds of things, and she has been able to prove her value in that space. And so maybe for her, she'd be able to get that onto like some historic registration or some registration that gives it some artistic value that would appeal more to the retail side. But for our intents and purposes, when we're looking at homes, particularly new builds, we're able to get a lot of those things for nickels on the dollar, in order to have them put in from the get-go, rather than having to do a full gut remodel and add additional function.
Well, let me ask you this, Ryan. You're talking about new builds, and for me, especially on the resale market, people get caught up in the things that you can change. They get caught up in the color of the paint. They get caught up in the color of the carpet and countertops, but those are things that you can always change without doing major structural updating or upgrading to the property. But when you're buying a new build, and knowing that one day, for me, I try to eliminate all carpet that I can from rental properties, because you're going to always be replacing carpet. If the time comes, it's time to replace the carpet. For me, it's worth putting in tile or some sort of, laminate, that, quality laminate.
Sure.
But from the new build perspective, is it a good idea, a recommendation to just start from the ground up and say, because most new builds, all the bedrooms are going to come with carpet. And so there's going to be a premium to update that now at the time of construction.
So I'm gonna sound like our attorney friends, and I'm gonna say it depends, right? So some builders are gonna come over there and give you really good deals on these different upgrades. Most of them won't, and so in most instances, it's better to close on it, have them put in contractor grade carpeting, and then rip it out before you even move in and put in what you want. So the upside is you can move in with a lot more equity, something that you want, that's something that's going to last longer, et cetera. The downside is that you can't finance it. I mean, you might be able to through the actual supplier and through the contractor, but you're going to do it at a rate that doesn't really make sense. But for the most part, that's cash out of pocket. And just closing on homes is typically a lot of cash out of pocket, and then Of course, you have moving costs, and particularly with new homes, you're going to have landscaping, you're going to have fans, maybe window dressings, paint, just other things that you're going to want to do before you move in that are going to take priority over it. But those flooring costs can stack up really fast, and then
Depending on how big the house is.
right. So you kind of need to, like I said, it depends on what your current financial situation is, what you like, and what the builder is offering.
All right, there's a lot that goes into buying a home, especially talking about the exit strategy. It's something that we excel in. Would love to have that conversation with you. All you got to do is text the word bottle to 623-AZ-RECON. That's bottle to 623-AZ-RECON. I know, Justin, on the lending side, you spent a lot of time taking a look at appraisals and things like that. And then you're also a very seasoned investor yourself. But to me, a lot of it it's about bathrooms, it's about bedrooms, and it's about kitchens. Those are, to me, the things that are going to give you that added value. Those are the things that I'm paying attention to anytime that I can build out a bedroom, from the get-go, well worth it.
I agree. I feel like kitchens steal it all. I mean,
Kitchens are number one.
number one, and by far, I see properties that come in with beautiful kitchens and the rest of the house is a mess. Exterior is a mess, but I feel like kitchens steal all the thunder. And that's how you typically sell the wife in the transaction, But obviously, bedrooms, bathrooms I feel like upgraded bathrooms in the master is such a big deal too. But I see I always hear about the kitchens, on the lending side.
Yeah.
I always hear about the kitchens.
It goes number 1, kitchen, number 2, master bath, number 3, additional bath, number 4, that's when you kind of get into flooring, and then, paint and all that. Mr. Paint Job is the best salesman out there. Like, you don't necessarily make money on it, but people walk in, new paint job. Feels like fresh and
You're
new.
removing barriers. Like, what if I walk in and the first thing I notice is, or the first thing I think is, man, I'm going to have to paint this house. That now just becomes an instantaneous barrier for me.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And then a lot of mistakes people make is putting in pools. Now, hardscape and pools, you do get money back on. Softscape and landscape and whatnot. Those, you're lucky to see dimes on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're putting in a pool, make sure that you're going to hold on to the property for a minimum of 7 years. You have to depreciate that thing out on your taxes, and you're going to continue to lose value on it. But then it kind of hits almost a break-even point after 7 years. So if you're that person that just needs to have a pool to weather the 120-degree summers, then I get it. We have a pool, but we didn't put it in.
No. Yeah, if you're in the market for a pool, buy a house with a pool.
For sure.
It's definitely a better value. A lot of strategies go into this, and if you're thinking about buying a home, our job and our goal is to help you think about the exit strategy of that house. What is going to be the best buy? What's going to bring you the most value? Would love to have that free consultation with you. All you got to do is text the word bottle to 623-AZ-RECON. That's bottle to 623-AZ-RECON.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate 401k Show. If you want more information on how to build wealth, click on the link or text us at 623-297-3266. That's 623-AZ-RECON.